Hurricane warnings in effect for Beatriz. Beatriz has intensified quite rapidly throughout the course of the overnight period last night into this morning and is now approaching hurricane status with winds of 65 miles per hour and an estimated pressure of 993 millibars. It's at 17.2 degrees north, 102.5 degrees west, which puts it uncomfortably close to the coast of Mexico. This is the latest as of 8 a.m. local time, Mountain Daylight Time. It's had winds of 65 miles per hour as mentioned, 105 kilometers per hour, moving northwest at 13 miles per hour and is headed, will be paralleling the coast for a time before it starts to move further out to sea. Well, here's the position displayed on the map right now, and it's rather small wind field which currently extends out only a few dozen miles, but certainly this system has room to expand. And hurricane warnings are in effect for Zihuatanejo to Cabo Corrientes. It is currently 85 kilometers from Lazaro Cardenas, 147 from Marata, 285 from Manzanillo, 478 from Creda Vallarta, and 786 from Mazatlan. Hurricane watches in effect further towards the northwest as well as tropical storm warnings, and we also have tropical storm watches a little bit further up the coast from Punta Mita to San Blas. So certainly a significant threat to land on this early season storm. Heavy rainfall is the primary hazard, which could cause flash flooding, especially in hilly areas inland where landslides are also likely. We're expecting accumulations approaching 200 millimeters possible from Oaxaca all the way to Nayarit. This will be accompanied by dangerous winds near hurricane force along the immediate coast near where Beatriz is tracking right now. So here's the forecast for the next 7 days or so, although it won't last that long. It will gradually move towards the northwest. Its wind field will continue to shrink over the weekend, and then as it gets towards the southern tip of the Baja California Peninsula, it will lose its tropical storm force winds and will then dissipate completely by the time we get to around Tuesday to the southwest of La Paz. So nothing too serious for the Baja California Peninsula, but we have a hurricane warning in effect for the main region of Mexico. 65 mile per hour winds right now, and you can see the spread of estimates there. ADT has some catching up to do. National Hurricane Center still going with 65 miles per hour, but the eye of the storm is starting to appear on satellite imagery, so I think that those satellite estimates will skyrocket fairly soon when that eye becomes a little bit more apparent. You'll see that on satellite imagery soon. First of all, this is the National Hurricane Center's forecast cone, and you can see there it's very close to land, not quite a landfall, but it is within the cone, so certainly can't be ruled out. And then the storm, they have a little bit further north trajectory there, weakening later on into the weekend and then dying off by the time we get to next week. Here's the GFS forecast model showing the expectation from it, and it is a general straight line there northwestwards, and then as said there, it dies off pretty much at the same time as Adrian, by the way, which you can also see on this graphic. That's a category 2 storm right now out to sea. It won't be affecting any land areas, but here you can see tropical storm force winds glancing across the whole coast there, and interestingly there is still, according to National Hurricane Center's wind probabilities, only a 10% chance of hurricane force winds along the coast. But I certainly would advise caution, because any slight changes to this track will certainly mean hurricane force winds on land. There's the simulated radar view showing the storm's path towards the northwest once again. At first it's got a decent looking core, later on the rainfall will be displaced to the south of the storm center. Watch again as we loop back to the start of this again, and you can see just how strong the GFS projects the storm to be initially there, with a decent looking eye that glances across the coast as mentioned and then continues to speed off towards the northwest. So what does that mean for rainfall expectations? Well, you can see a lot of rain there, sometimes in high quantities in high rain rates, I should say, but this is the expectation across the whole forecast period up to 7 days. Most of that is to do with Beatriz, and you can see that inland it's not going to be an extreme rain event, but we are expecting significant rainfall in some areas along the hills and mountains. We could see some flooding and landslides. There you look at some of those rainfall estimates, up to 6 inches, maybe near 8 inches inland near Mazatlan. So that is quite a bit, 200 millimeters, and out to sea where the storm center is, we could be looking at 300 millimeters, but that doesn't appear to be going towards land. Sea surface temperatures look decent ahead of the storm, at least for a few days. They're around 28, maybe 29 degrees Celsius, and these underread as well a little bit on this projection. And those temperatures will start to fall just after it passes the peninsula, Baja California. It really starts to weaken. It will with the cold sea surface temperatures, I should say, which will fall below 20 degrees Celsius, extremely cold over there in terms of tropical storms. So it is on a time limit up to about 3 or 4 days. So let's take a look at the first visible images of this morning, and you can see here that it is quite clear that we've got an eye forming. You can quite clearly see a good amount of rotation there, a very tight rotation to do with this storm, and you can see it even more clearly on the true color and infrared blend here, which is one of my favorite satellite views. And you can see some very high cloud tops on the right hand side up to around minus 80 degrees Celsius, and on the western side a little bit weaker, but the eye feature is starting to appear, and I think it will become even more apparent. It's going to be a small eye, and it could be one that is very transient, might come in and out quite quickly, especially since the storm is so close to the coast. Certainly its strength cannot be relied upon as the storm is paralleling the coast, and we could be seeing hurricane force conditions impacting that southern coast of Mexico over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. The risk is there.